Like I said, you shouldn't be insecure about what he's doing. Welcome back. I'm sorry. I had to go check on my little sister. I was friends with Lil Seth for close to a year before I realized something wasn't right. But back then, I couldn't see clearly because I wasn't spiritually involved. That impit demon was all over me again. I was busy running around that I gave up a family, the chance to raise my son in his early years, the chance to see my daughter's early years, the opportunity to have a woman on my side who was really on my side. I gave up an opportunity to be a real man and take care of my responsibilities. I gave up the opportunity to show God that I was truly grateful for what He gave me by making sure that my children had the best of everything. I traded a lot of that in for nothing. Almost nothing could have stopped me from doing it. Only a bullet could have stopped me from going down that track. A bullet of God or God. I'm sorry, a bullet of or God. Of course, but sometimes God puts us in situations so we can learn. He says, "Hey, I close your eyes and make it so you can't see the right way. Just so you, just so you will learn something valuable by feeling your way." And I'm sorry. Hey, I close your eye. Hey, I close your eyes and make it so you can't see the right way. Just so you will learn something valuable by feeling your way in the dark. That's what happened to me. In the beginning, I was enjoying the hell out of my supposed freedom. Towards the end, it was hell. It seemed like everything around me was going there with me. My money, my friends, my career. I owned a house in Long Island. A house that I promised Simone we would live in together. But I had Lisette hanging out there a lot instead. I was a fool. And now I realize it, and I'm very sorry for that. My next album, Mama Said Knock You Out, took me to another level musically. But my lifestyle had only got worse. So pause. Like I had told y'all earlier, this album came out in 1990. Um, that's when rap started to become internationally famous. Before that, people really didn't care about rap. And like I said, Around the Way Girl is like one of my favorites from that album. My next album, Mama Said Knock You Out, took me to another level musically. But my lifestyle only got worse. That year before I did the album, gangster rap had became huge. Ice-T was out there and NWA was blowing up the spot with Straight Outta Compton. Too Short was selling millions underground. You couldn't play his stuff on the radio. It was so off the hook. They took the reality. Public Enemy and KRS-One was talking about taking it to the extreme. It was talking about finding power in drive-bys and killing police. They were really speaking to a whole generation of disillusioned and angry youth. My style had got a little tired, and I knew I wasn't feeling the people anymore. The backlash I got from Panther had shooken my confidence. A lot of rappers was dissing me on their records. Cool Mo D, MC Sean, Steady B, and even Ice T. They were saying that my style was played out of whack. I must have been doing okay though for me to take those for them though for them to take those shots at me. I'm sorry. I dissed them back. I was like any kind of it was like any competition like what the Chicago Bulls and a Utah Jazz did in the NBA championships. It was all about game and winning, and I was in it to win. I had to regroup, so I went back to the beginning, to grandma's. One night, I left the studio early and just went to the house where it all began, in the basement, so I can think and get connected. My grandma knew something was up. She came down to ask me, what was the matter? Grandma, I don't know if I have it anymore, I said. I feel like all of these other guys are getting over me. All these other guys are getting over. She didn't understand. It changed so much. I said, I can't do it the way they do it. What's selling now is something totally different. She said, oh baby, just knock them out. And she went back upstairs, knocked them out. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna knock them out. And I rolled the idea over and over in my brain. And that night I started rapping. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my peers, putting suckers in fears. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out. Platinum again. So pause. His grandmother gave him this idea to like, listen, you feel like these niggas are getting over on you. Just knock them out. Like, forgive me for being so down. Um, Platinum again. I knew I had to do something bigger and different with this one. So I came out hard. Not gangster, just hard, real raw. And I knew I needed to help achieve that. On Panther, I had did a lot of work. I had did a lot of it myself. The writing and the mixing. While doing promotional work for it, I thought I frequently popped up on the local radio station. One time I did a gig at WBLS FM in Manhattan on the air with DJ Molly Marr. After the show, he talked to me about doing remixes on my upcoming album, and I said, all right. So on Mama, he remixed Jingling Baby. It blew up. It seemed like every song on the album was a hit. I was enjoying the fruits. I remember sitting in the audience of Madison Square Garden, wearing nothing but a leather vest, matching pants, and a leather Congo-style hat. Chest out, arms out, buffed. I had really put a lot of work for this album, down to perfecting my body, and it paid off. So I was sitting in the audience waiting for them to call my name for a Grammy, and they did. Yo, a Grammy. That moment was one of the sweetest. It was like everyone who ever said I couldn't do something was proven wrong that day. Pause. So like, and everybody knows the Grammys is like the highest award that you can get, the highest achievement in music for an award. Just like as an actor or actress, an Oscar is the highest achievement of award that you can get, and he finally got his Grammy. It was just like when I was up for a Soul Train Music Award for I Need Love and back in 1987. It was a record that people had laughed at in the beginning. They were saying it was too soft for rap and it wouldn't sell. It blew up. When they told me, when they told me I won that time, all I could hear was the players hating saying, "You not nothing. You suck. You can't do it. Just give up." Hi. When they called my name, I literally bugged out. Everybody was talking about how well me and my crew, Bobcat, the LA Paz, was acting. Like we had never won anything before. We hadn't, but I felt vindicated. It's funny that it seems to be a constant theme in my life. I'm learning how to ride a bike to my first performance in a church basement at 13 when this girl came up to me afterwards and simply said, "You suck." Had always had something to prove. When I was trying to get a record deal, no one believed in me except my family. And I went out and did it. Another time, just after I had cut my first record, I did a block party around my way, and I finished my set. I told the crowd to look out for my new single in the stores. The MC grabbed the mic from me and yelled, "Stop the line!" And the whole crowd started laughing. You know, my thing about that with people, I don't know, I don't understand people with that. It's so sick to me that people wouldn't want people to have success or to make it. What is this about? And a lot of people say that a lot of people don't think you're gonna make it. And I know this world is not about uplifting. And y'all, like, you gonna be talking about somebody tomorrow, dogging them. Of course, it's called YouTube. But it's just like that. I understand people will tell you you won't do this, you can't do that. It's impossible for you to do that, and it kind of struts your ego, and it makes you feel like, look, I gotta go harder for this because somebody told me I couldn't do it. I was standing there like a sucker, and it also probably could have hurt LL Cool J. A few years later, and 2 platinum hours later, though, I saw the guy again at the corner store. He looked at me and nodded his head and reckoned a recognition of how wrong he had been. That's good. That's good. Um, After Parenting the Witch went platinum, people said I was finished, washed up because. Pause. I'm sorry because I had did a video on this yesterday, but I had deleted the video because it wasn't. I just got tired of making the videos, and it was time for me to take a break. After Panda went platinum, people said I was finished, washed up because of the negative backlash I got from selfish years. And I came back with Mama Said Knock You Out with a Grammy and another platinum hit, more cars, more women. I thought I was back on top. I was also feeling good about the movie Toys, which was in works. I was working with acting giants and a great director. What I had thought was a big part was turning out to be a great role, and we was having fun on set. So like I said, I can't read y'all the whole book, but what LL Cool J says, like, my thing about and through the book as I've been reading with LL Cool J, I think LL Cool J is one of those type of men that has been through a lot, and I don't think LL Cool J is a tough. Like, listen, it's a lot of men out here that think they tough and rough, and they do things for value shot. And LL Cool J gives me this vibe of, listen, I've been through a lot. I've tried to learn and fix my mistakes. I'm not tough. I don't want to be tough. I want to be a good man. LL Cool J gives me, the type of person similar to me. I'm very down to earth. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like down to earth people like me. Because we like people, we try to be nice to people, even though I'm loud and whatever you want to say. We try to be there for people. We don't need to be mean to people. We don't need to be unfriendly to people. And the problem is, a lot of people in this world are so insecure and mean. Like, be nice to people. And I probably said, Jacoby, you talk shit. Yeah, I do, but you also have to be nice to people. Robin Williams was real nice to me. He was no prom downer caught up in the big Hollywood star syndrome. In fact, at the time, he was a little too real. Robin Williams was real nice to me. He was no prom downer caught up in that big Hollywood star syndrome. In fact, at times, he was a little too real. He would show up at set all funky, smelling like a wild ball, like a truckload of hot garbage. And I was thinking, like, damn, this guy's real regular. And Robin Williams seems like a type of person that doesn't get stuck into the whole big, from what I'm reading, don't get stuck into that whole big Hollywood stuff. I can say about people, a lot of celebrities said that about, Whitney Houston. It was like Whitney Houston was very down to earth. She wasn't really a diva. No matter what we had seen, they said Whitney Houston was nothing like how the media tried to portray her or how she was at times in real life. He was so entertaining though that I didn't mind. On the set, he was hilarious, constantly in character, making jokes and carrying on. I really learned a lot from acting from him. So on surface, everything seemed perfect, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Everything was definitely not perfect. Everything was definitely not perfect. When I was out collecting my spoils, Simone was sitting at home, taking care of our two kids, enduring a whole lot of bull from me. My kids was living day by was my kids were living day to day in a small 2-bedroom condo while I was a millionaire 3 or 4 times over. And at one point in time, some other man was there, taking them places, eating dinner out with them. And I was paying for that spiritually. What was said. Fortunately, there was another voice in my ear saying, Homeboy, you ain't living right. It started to get louder and louder. That voice was Charles Fisher. So Charles Fisher was a guy, because I can't read the whole book. Charles Fisher was a guy that had worked with Russell Simmons in the 80s, and he did a lot of black parties. He was a DJ. Okay. He said a few months later, I ran into Charles again at Christmas party for Video Music Box, which was a big event at the time. He asked me what I thought of the stuff he had sent me, and I confessed that I had lost it on a tour bus. He sent him a book, but I told him that what I had read was inciting. I asked him for another copy of what he called The Power of Profits. He handed me his business card, looked me in the eye, and said, "If you're serious about acquiring real power improvement, and give me a call." 2 days later, New Year's Day, I took Charles up on his challenge. I had decided to start my life fresh and clean, and my New Year's resolution was self-improvement. It seemed like the perfect opportunity to walk the talk. When I called his house, Charles couldn't believe it was me calling him on New Year's Day, but he told me he would give me another copy of the information if I was to commit it. If I would commit to being the honorable chairman of the Youth Enterprises for 1 year. I agreed. Hours later, I was knocking at his door to get information that would change my life. I read everything Charles gave me. It was like water in the desert, filling in all the missing parts, not just education, but in my soul. Things I already knew but couldn't prove were answered for me. The things about the origin of the man and what God really expects from us. Charles had me reading everything from the Bible to the Quran, and I was drinking it all up. I had been on Sahara for 10 years without a drop. I would come to his house at 2 in the morning, tapping on his window for another one. Charles would come to the door in his baggy drawers and those stick finger lids, with his book in his hand for me. It was like a junkie needing a fix, and he had the drug knowledge. If school taught stuff like that, I would have graduated some come up. Just about every day we studied, either in person or by phone, and I began to realize that even though I thought I was rich and successful, there were still a lot of things that I didn't know. In order for me to get to the next level of life, I needed to discover my true purpose on planet and how to use my success for the benefit of those who are less fortunate. Charles was like my personal spiritual tutor, like yoga. He taught me about meditation, and little by little, I started to see what was going on around me. My mind's eyes, I began to open. My mind's eyes begin to open. When I saw frighteningly, I began to see Lucette for who she really was. And it wasn't good. I realized she was doing some fool stuff to stay my friend. And I was following like a zombie. Under a spell. I was crazy. While we were hanging out, strange things had been happening. Her grandmother was so upset with her for dealing with me that she took a Bible, burned it, and put it in her shoes and mailed it to her. Yeah, I still don't know what that was all about, but I don't know if her grandma was mad because she didn't want her dealing with me, or mad about the things she knew Lucille was doing in terms of voodoo. Either way, it was ill. During the time I spent with Lucette, my grandmother even went to fortune tellers to find out what was wrong with me and why I was such a zombie. Why was I cutting everybody off in my life, my family, and all my people just to be Lucette's friend? It was like me, her against righteousness, and I was bound to lose. Oh my God. I began to realize that my so-called friends were betraying me. Brian, my co-manager, was supposed to be managing my career, but he was spending too much time managing Nas. Ask Nas how he liked that. The inclusion didn't have to put that on there, but I began to feel like he was playing me out. I was starting to think something wasn't right between me and my father. I should have known something was really wrong in my life when my father started encouraging me to marry Lisette. What was all of that about? I don't know, but Simone, to her credit, never gave up on me. She kept trying to stand me out of it. She had moved on with her life and was seeing another guy during this time, but the bond between us was too strong for her to let me fall. I always knew she was there, and I'm forever grateful. I was very disrespectful during this time. I'm very sorry to that. I was disrespectful to my family, disrespectful, disrespectful to my future wife and the mother of my children, and I finally began to see myself for what I was. So I made a decision to change. It wasn't easy, but looking back on it, it seems like the only possible solution. Charles taught me to irk spiritual minors by living righteous. If I if I cultivate my spiritual strength, he said, anyone trying to throw evil my way will have came right back on them. I didn't waste any time. I started studying more and trying to apply these principles to my life, and I started struggling with these two minors. Strangely, Lucette died from leukemia within of this. I started struggling with these minors. Strangely, Lucille died from leukemia within 2 months of this. She was 17. That's sad. After her death, I was laying in the bed in the basement of my grandmother's. I was feeling like I needed to be connected, so I went to my grandmother's house where I did most of my writing for my albums and most of my heavy thinking. In the house, I was always looked out for in love. Conflict was constant in my life. I was battling the pull to act wild versus the need to be righteous. It was difficult. So I was laying in the bed, not sleeping, just staring at the ceiling in the dark, and everything happened so fast. So I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I feel the force. Some people think this is crazy, but it's real. The force. A demon was in my room, hovering over me. It pinned me to the bed, and I couldn't move. I couldn't barely breathe. It was in my arms, pinned to the bed, and I felt this presence around me. It was like the forces of darkness had come to life in my room. I could feel the breath in my face, and it said, "You can be whatever you want to be. You can have anything you want, but you have to say yes now." At the time, I was feeling like I had nothing. No kids, no wife, no friends, no home, no career, nothing. I had reverse mass touch. Everything I touched was turning to shit. But I knew if I said yes, I would be selling my soul. It said to me again, say yes, just say yes, it's yours. I was fighting to try to break loose. I screamed no, and I said no. I felt snakes crawling through me up my rectum, out of my mouth and ears, and then wrapping around my neck, choking me. I heard women giggling all around me, and then silence. Everything was gone. I was left laying there, sweating, my wrists aching. Even today, sometimes my wrists will ache for no apparent reason. I thought it reminded me that evil is just waiting to give me anything I think I want, but really wanted only to take everything I knew. I knew I had to be strong, and strong enough to say no, and patient enough to wait for the real goodness. Alright, if you have not already done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe.